This is me and my motorcycle. And this is Thomas and his motorcycle. We have decided to go on a road trip this summer. His Yamaha Tenere is in excellent condition. My old Cagiva, not so much. I have a long list of things I need to do. Can I manage to get it fixed in time to the trip? It's such a nice day today. I can set 2 of my tasks as done. I did them in the last episode. If you didn't see my previous episode, maybe you should take a look. Reroute the clutch cable and replace the fluid. Replace the throttle control, reroute throttle wire. That is 2 jobs done. The next one now is new custom instrument cluster warning indicators. The task I'm gonna start, and also it should have been included a new ignition switch, and maybe the reason for this is such a beautiful day is I realized I had dozens of motorcycles through my years, and this is actually the first time I ever have had a motorcycle with 2 keys. Always been missing the spare key, always had only 1 key. I bet you have, if you have an older motorcycle, you only have 1 key for your motorcycle. But now, since I have bought a new ignition key kit, I got 2 keys. And I've also made the holder for the lock. This shield, this plate down here. I can show you, this was the original cover down here. And I 3D printed this as my first prototype. And I thought it was okay, but originally it was quite a big gap down there. So I thought maybe I could make it a bit bigger. And then I thought maybe even bigger. And then it became too big. So this third model was almost perfect, except I was touching this one. Yeah, I found the suitable size, I think. By the way, I realized, if you haven't seen my previous video, you have no idea what I'm talking about, are you? Let me give you a short recap. This is the original speedometer dashboard on this motorcycle. Not only a speedometer, tachometer, 7 indication warning lights, key, ignition lock. To say it short, it's not working. I need to replace it, find a new solution. And I want to go the digital way and put on a tablet. U-Truck has sent me this rugged tablet suitable to be used on an adventure bike. So I want to put on the tablet, but also find a solution for the other things that was on the original instrument panel. The tablet looks like this, and I want to put it approximately here, like this. And then I have some free space here on the sides to put on other stuff. I do not want to drill holes or damage this original cover though. Just in case one time in the future I want to convert the bike back to its original shape. So yeah, there will be more 3D printing, like this centerpiece. 3D printing, yeah. Very useful. I've already loosened this. Let me take off the bolts. And then this should be possible to get out of here. I have 3D printed some test pieces for the side cover for the instruments here as well. So the first one looked like this, just to see if I were in the range of having any success. Then I made a new one. It was getting closer to the final solution. So this hole here is where I want my custom instruments. And here is the latest piece, just freshly out of the 3D printer. I haven't even taken off the support. The plan is to sand down and paint and make this look a bit better. But this is now supposed to be here. I made the holes in the 3D print a bit tight, makes it easier to just test it without using a nut, but of course I will use a washer and a nut here on the underside. It seems to fit now pretty well, so I'll try to put on a nut here so I can tighten it up a bit, just hand tight. So how does this look? Maybe a bit close, tight here with the hoses and the wires and the cables. So maybe make it a bit slimmer here. And then of course a similar one on the other side here. Then comes the tablet in between here, something like this. I thought this might be a nice environment for the rider. And then have instruments on each side here, whatever the tablet can't cover up. You maybe noticed these two holes, the same of course on the other side. And you can see this is now a bit wobbly, so I will put on a rod in between here to stiffen up this cover. And also the whole fairing is a bit wobbly, so I think maybe I could attach it down to this mount and maybe try to make some kind of attachment here to stiffen up the whole front, but that would be a project for later. And then over to the department where I'm going to do the wiring, rewiring, because my new ignition switch is of course a bit different than the original one. And I also want to do some improvements and of course prepare for the add-ons that I need for my upgrade. I tried my best to be well prepared this time, even made my own custom wiring diagram. It's based on the original one, and then all these yellow boxes is where I am going to do modifications. This one is already done. That is the improvement I did to provide the current to the coils. I want to do some improvements in the battery area under the seat. I want to add more fuses because I don't want to tap into the existing wiring for my new extra equipment. Then I want to have new lines to the front of the bike. So I will have an output for my heater jacket and output for tablet and charging and all other stuff. And this is the ignition part. I will use relays to make sure that I got the proper power out to my equipment. So a total of 3 relays will I be using. And I want to attach them at the front. And here you can see I've actually 3D printed with flexible filament, TPU. That's the first time I've done. And I think this is going to be a pretty nice solution. I have 2 different relays here, so one of them is a bit shorter than the others. Yeah, this one. And this now goes with quite a tight fit into here. There you go. And then I have some dots here at the corners to prevent it falling out. This is quite tight. And now I have some vibration damping on this. And this is going over a rod I have on the front of the bike. I will use these connectors. I don't know the name of them. They are cost effective, not very costly. Perhaps not the best one, but yeah, they looks to be nice compared to the original on the bike. This one has 12 outputs, and to match up this, I would have needed 3 of these to get 12. So these I have bought, they are quite a lot bigger. I think I have plenty of space, but if you have tight space, I wouldn't recommend these. They are very big. I will definitely not be needing all of this, but yeah, I have a lot of stuff here that I think I might be using. The first thing I want to do is to make the extra outputs. I started buying these kind of fuses that are attached to a wire. I didn't really like it, so I decided that I want to try to slim it down. So I found these fuse holders that are separate, and I need these 2. And of course 3D printing. I have 3D printed this bracket freshly from the printer. I haven't tested it. I haven't even removed the support here. So the idea now, if everything works, is that these fuses should slide into this bracket. Hope it fits. Yes, yes, yes. That looks nice. And then the second one as well. Yes. Let's see if this fits on the bike. It is, by the way, extremely easy to strip down take off all the fairings on this bike. Just takes some few minutes. This is the area where the original fuse are located, and I want to add the new one just by it. I found a screw here that I thought would be a nice spot to put it. I haven't tested it, so this is a bit exciting. So when 3D printing complex shapes like this, it's hardly possible to make it fit on the first try, but I'll give it a shot here. It should go here. I can just put the wires in here. This under here. Okay. This looks promising. Maybe it's a bit close to the bolt here. Oh, it's very, very close. This is not bad at all. Wait a sec. Okay. Does actually not interfere with this bolt. And it lines up as I wanted it. Really? That easy on the first try? It's not supposed to be possible. Normally, the third attempt, the 3D print is dialed in, or at least then you manage to make it fit. This one, on first attempt, I'm a bit impressed. Well, what's better than that? So then, the next job is going to be even easier, because the best thing almost ever invented is this one. Vago connectors. It's the best invention ever to connect the cables. I think really I should have had a bit bigger one, because my beefiest cable here is 6 square millimeters. I'll buy a bigger one, but it barely fits. I must say, this is quite an exquisite solution. I'm not really sure what exquisite means, but it feels like the right word here. The only change here now from the original solution, from as it is stock, is one extra cable here. And this one as well, this extra fuse holder, also very subtle. And the side cover is on here. It looks like stock, I must say. This red cable will be joined with the extra output from the extra fuses. So it will go 3 extra power cables here now and 2 extra ground cables in a new sleeve. So it will be transporting to the front of the bike, where I will put all the relays. I don't really know the exact length yet. I just can plug them in here on my new output. So I can now prepare the front part. But before that, I took a look at the regulator rectifier and the connectors here, because I will continue using the old cable, 12-volt cable, and that goes through a connector here, and that is not looking very good. Okay, so it has been a couple of minutes. I have cleaned this connector. I'm not gonna show you this whole process. I took it out, all the pins, cleaned them, put them back in. The one that was very corroded, I replaced with this one, this new type. I think the pin is a bit small. I looked it up. The only place I could find any information, it said 10 to 20 amperage it was rated for. This is the main power going from the battery to the regulator. And here is the other end. And you can see it is pretty worn. Yeah, it's as good as disintegrated here. Yeah, there it fell off. So this one really needs to be replaced. Okay, it has been a couple of more minutes, and now the regulator rectifier is put back on with new wiring. No, that's a lie. It has been a couple of days actually, because what happened when I started to inspect this area. Now, this is the first time I've taken off the whole fairing for the bike, and I found some rust and some parts that had quite a bit of wear. So I have painted the oil cooler, I painted the horn, replaced a lot of bolts and nuts, and I did some small improvements to the original wiring harness. So now I'm ready to tackle the new stuff that goes in the front here. Before I start taking this apart, I must give a shout out to the Italian engineers that made this back in the 90s. Here is the original instrument panel. This was plugged in like this. And you can see how nice everything is put together here, lined up on this shelf bracket with all the connectors. And then there are only some few connectors here for the headlight and for the indicators. The indicators, of course, cannot have a bulky connector because it's going through these holes here. So yeah, I must say I have to try to make a similar nice solution as this. I will reuse these connectors. This is for the handlebars, the left and the right handlebars. But this shelf and these two connectors that goes to the instrument cluster and the ignition switch, I can't reuse this. So I'll try to make something as good as the original, but different. This is the plug for the ignition switch. And it's pretty simple actually. 12 volts comes from the battery to this in this red cable, and it distributes out to the bike on this green and black cable. All these yellow cables I don't need to use. That is just to put on park light. I don't have a park light position on my ignition switch, so this will be obsolete. My ignition switch is really simple. It has input and output, and I already put on some cables. It would have been nice to be able to reuse these original connectors, but I have not found them anywhere. These are probably proprietary. This is not that easy to show in detail on camera. Probably not that exciting to see either, all the details here, but now I have prepared all the wiring for the ignition, so let me give you a quick summary. This is the connector, the new connector for the relay that goes up to these 4 pins. 2 of them are input and output, the main power to the bike. That is the green and the red wires here on this connector. The blue and the pink one goes to the power on relay part. So the blue cable here is temporarily just attached to the frame, and the pink one comes from the ignition switch. Let me just plug in this. This only goes on in one direction. I'll just plug in the old instrument panel now to see if everything works. Well, not much happened, but you can see here. And maybe you can hear a clicking sound from the relay. And I can turn on the lights. There. And high beam. Perfect. Next is then to put on the extra relays for the extra output. This is like the similar location as the original turn signal relay, just on the opposite side. And I also already prepared the cables, the ground cable that goes to power on the relay. And this green one goes to the output from the ignition relay, so that is power on the extra relays as well. Then it's time to revisit the battery area. Now I know where the cables are going to end up, so I have measured the length and I have prepared the cable with the 2 positive leads and the 2 negative, and the existing power to the coil, and put it in a nice sleeve. So now I can put it all into where it's supposed to go. These are the new 12 volt outputs from the new fuse. I also 3D printed this cap that fits exactly over the new fuses. similar to the original one. Then the ground cables are also connected and goes to the front of the bike. Here are the new cables that I've already prepared and attached to the connectors for the relays. And I also already replaced with my new style of connectors for the indicators. This is the ground connection point for the tablet. And this is the connection point for the heated jacket and for a future heated grips. The main wire harness here is a bit heavy and it's dragging on this main ignition switch relay. Here is my solution to the problem. 3D printed, again using flexible filament. This is really sturdy stuff. This is now supposed to replace the original shelf, just to hold the wires, allowing some play, but securing them and not dragging on this relay. In addition, I made this one, also flexible filament. This is to put these Vago connectors, hold them into position and perhaps protect them a bit from the weather. So these two pieces goes together like this. And yes, I will add Loctite to this later when I do the final assembly. This is a test. The relay for the tablet and electronics. The relay for the heated jacket and heated grip. I also made this to hold the last Vago connector. I don't know how to pronounce it. Goes here. To hold this relay so they are not moving around too much, I made it so I can use a zip tie. Maybe not as nice as the original solution, but not too bad either, I think. Nobody's ever gonna see this when all the fairing is on, except for me and you exactly now. The most important part is that the cables are not being stretched or dragged in when I'm turning the handlebar. That looks pretty nice, I must say. Yeah, I think I can live with this solution, and now I have multiple more outputs than previously for all my accessories. But unfortunately, I found one new problem that I think requires me to do a small design change here. I thought it was a smart idea to route the cables at the sides of the fork here to not get them come into conflict with my new instrument cluster. But I can see now that when I'm turning the handlebar, this hose from the clutch sometimes catches down here, and when I turn the handlebar it's squeezed in between here and get a very sharp and ugly bend. The same with the choke wire also. This is a bit tight. Not ideal. If this wire stays on top here, this hose I mean, then it's much better. But sometimes it ends up down here. So I think maybe I need to do a redesign here. What I have seen on newer Cagivas, they have two holes here, and all these cables goes more into the center here and through those holes. So I have an idea here for a design improvement. But before doing yet another redesign, I think I now will put back on the fairing just to see that all my cables can fit and what I've done so far makes sense. And I need to plan a mount for my tablet as well. Okay, it didn't fit. So this headlight inner cover, it's touching this Vago connector holder. So I think I'll flip it around, move it further in backwards here. So this one is the problem, it touches the headlight. So what I hope now is just to take off this holder for the Vago connectors, turning it around further backwards, then rerouting some of the cables, and hopefully then I have room for my headlights. This Vago connectors makes it easy to do changes. Yes, this looks almost good. I can still do some improvements here, moving my new connectors a bit more backwards to free up space. It's a bit tight in the front. It's just not to connect all the stuff I need. So let me put back on the side covers. I've also 3D printed a side cover for the other side. I've also 3D printed 2 of these. These will be the boxes where I have the warning indication lights. And here I will build a speedometer, tachometer. That's going to be my self-made motorcycle computer. I do think this is going to be a really good solution. I'm really satisfied with the layout, the design so far. But there is a lot of job remaining. I need to 3D print everything once more. Pretty sure it's almost there, but I have some design changes I need to do. These boxes where I want the warning indicators and my future speedometer, I need to build them, make them waterproof and make the content inside them. I need to rearrange some of the wiring because it's a bit cramped there. I need to move them a bit. And last but not least, it was the mount for my tablet. I'm so satisfied with the UTROC X70 rugged tablet. Super nice, and it has this universal Arca Swiss mount. You can get it from UTROC. You just mount it on the back side of the tablet, and you can also buy this universal mount that you can just put on the handlebar, and you can tilt it in any direction. And I might be using this on one of my other motorcycles, but on my Elefant, I want it to be flush mounted, quite elegant as I can. I have a lot of these Arca Swiss mounts, so I can make my custom one, so I can make sure that the tablet lies flush into the dashboard here. This is gonna be great, but there is a lot of work still to be done. But let me show you how cool this is gonna be. Can you suggest how I should end this video? That's about my motorcycle, the Elefant 750.
Ending your Elefant 750 video. Here are a few ideas on how to end your video about your motorcycle, the Elefant 750, with a gentle engine rev or the sound of the bike idling, wheelie or burnout. Encourage engagement. Ask viewers to like, comment, and subscribe. If it's fun and energetic, a humorous or action-packed ending could work well. Consider your audience. What would they enjoy seeing? Experiment with different endings. You can always try a few different options and see what works best. Would you like to